Is telling your channel that Sri Lanka has released the 5 Indian fishermen who had been on death row, their death sentence commuted. Shabir now joins us on the phone for more on this. Shabir, the breakthrough had happened when Prime Minister Modi had spoken on the phone to Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa. What's moved forward now?
Well, yesterday, the Indian government withdrawing the appeal that was filed in the Supreme Court, that was filed in the court, clearly was perhaps an indication that things were moving forward, and there is a high possibility that there could be a presidential pardon. And as of now, what we are hearing from our sources is that the president's office has been officially informed about the withdrawal of the appeal by the 5 Indian fishermen, and now the process has begun to pardon, and anytime soon there will be a presidential pardon, and it will be confirmed by the president's office. So once that is received, then the 5 Indian fishermen can walk free. So the first process has begun is what sources are telling us, and it's in all likelihood the process will be completed in the due course, and the 5 fishermen who have been awarded death penalty by a Sri Lankan court will be released as early as possible.
So what you're saying, Shabir, is that they are going to be released as per a complete pardon, for a presidential pardon coming in from Rajapaksa, because initially there were talks of perhaps transferring them to an Indian jail.
Well, that is something which has been completely ruled out as of now, because the Indian High Commission over there, they moved to the court filing an appeal against the death penalty that was awarded to them. And in fact, the Indian government had clearly taken a stand that all these 5 fishermen who awarded death penalty were innocent. They were not involved in any crime, and the charges against them were false. So this was the stand that was taken by the Indian High Commission in their appeal petition. And right now, yesterday, the appeal petition was withdrawn. It was clear an indication that the appeal petition was withdrawn because there was a high possibility that there could be a presidential pardon, because the Sri Lankan government too had clearly said that the president is ready for a pardon, and he will go ahead with that. And now a Sri Lankan minister has made a statement that the president's office has pardoned them, and also they will be released shortly. This is the statement that is from our sources in Sri Lanka. So they are now saying that the process has begun. So anytime soon, the fishermen will be released. Back to you.
Well, Shabir, it becomes a huge diplomatic victory for India, because there was so much pressure from many of the Tamil parties that were saying that the centre had a soft approach towards Sri Lanka. But with the release of these 5 fishermen who had been on death row, it's a massive diplomatic victory for the centre. Well, we are going to get more details on this, but we can tell you that sources are telling us that Sri Lanka has agreed to release the 5 Indian fishermen that had been on death row. Their death sentence has been commuted. In fact, as Shabir was giving us information, what we are awaiting now perhaps is an official statement regarding a full presidential pardon coming through from the offices of the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa, which means that the 5 Indian fishermen who had been in jail in Sri Lanka and had in fact been on death row are going to be free. They will be able to walk free, and Lanka has released these 5 Indian fishermen. Their death sentence has been commuted. What we are being told is that there is going to be a complete and full presidential pardon coming forth for these 5 fishermen who had been languishing in Sri Lankan jails. There had been massive pressure from various Tamil parties on the centre over the past several months over this issue, especially after the death sentence had been meted out to these 5 Indian fishermen, with accusations of the centre going soft on Sri Lanka. But certainly this a massive diplomatic victory for India, a huge diplomatic coup for the centre. Remember the breakthrough coming through about 10 days ago, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had spoken to the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and since then the situation seems to have been resolved. Now Shabir is still with us, and Shabir, you know, the fact is that there was a lot of pressure coming in from many Tamil parties on the centre that accused the centre in fact of being soft in their approach towards Sri Lanka. But with the release of these 5 fishermen, it's a massive diplomatic victory for the centre.
Well, one can say that it's a massive diplomatic victory, but on what terms and conditions these fishermen are being released is something that one needs to watch out for, because the Tamil party here they say that these fishermen were innocent, these fishermen were not involved in any kind of smuggling activity, and the charges leveled against them were completely false. This is the stand that has been taken by the fishermen community here, and also the pro-Tamil parties and political outfits in Tamil Nadu.